Good morning, KBCBs. It's March 17th, and it's also St. Patrick's Day. You know what that means? Yep, I'm gonna go work on my jetpack today. And I think I might just bring you along. Fuck. Of course, though, not everything goes the way you had hoped, which is why I now have to improvise. Since the wood shop is closed, I pretty much have to make the whole thing out of wire. And in celebration of St. Patrick's Day, I'm gonna have me some ale. Well, ginger ale, whatever. Here's what it looks like so far in total. Apparently this thick wire here is cancerous. Well, since I'm pretty much occupied doing this, I guess I can answer some comments while I work. One second, I'm just gonna plug my computer in. Did you hear that? I got told off for yesterday's episode. The sleep cycle isn't 30 minutes long, it's actually 90 minutes long apparently. Sorry guys. Anime Addicts Anonymous, or my friend Cassis asked how my break was doing. And whether I'm bored or not yet. It's going fine, been thinking a lot, making a lot of videos. You ever meet those people who wink compulsively? That really freaks me out. Aquatic likers are like, from the videos I've watched of you, I think I like you. Well, given that your comment implies that you've been watching my videos, I think I like you too. By the way, I already got an entry on how to capture radiation fairies. The contest is on, folks. Charlieisagirl gave me a video response that I can't say knocked my socks off, but that's just because that's not the appropriate phrase for how it made me feel. I'm gonna touch on that later. But you should go watch it. It's in the sidebar. No, that's not what it's for. Screw these gloves. It'll be a few years before cancer comes for me. And here's some nice comments that made me feel really good inside. Apparently Pi Day was also White Day. I don't know what that is. I realize that this is kind of a weird process. Kind of intimate. Going back to Cassis's question, what have I been doing? I guess I've been thinking a lot. Whenever I'm alone, I tend to think a lot. Oh, I know, I'm not really alone with you guys, but you know what I mean. And whenever I'm alone with somebody, and when I feel a little curious and thoughtful, I'll sometimes ask them, do you like to think? Or do you like to think a lot? Or do you spend a lot of time thinking? Something like that. It's a weird question. It almost seems insulting, but if you think about it, it's a pretty valid question. We all have things that run through our head, but that's not necessarily thinking, the act of thinking, of active thought. Rather, they're just plain thoughts going through our head. There's something that we're possessing and witnessing, but we may not be participating in the action of thinking. Kind of like hearing somebody talk without actually listening, or looking without actually seeing, or I really want there to be a third simile here, but I can't think of one. Isn't it ironic? I think it's an important thing to ask, whether or not you're actually thinking, or just reacting to information. I think a lot of people do this, merely reacting to things that happen. The thoughts they have aren't really theirs, they're just what the collective learned patterns of their brain and their emotional selves have picked up over the years, not actually being actively involved in what's going on in their own head, and as a result, their own life. So I think it's an important question to ask. Do you like to think? It's easy to get caught up in our lives and just forget to take a moment and think about things first. We get stuck in the emotionality and the stress and the pressure of it all. The bills, the paperwork, the people, especially the people, to the point where you step back and you find you kind of forgot what mattered to you for a second there. And some people don't even know. And there's nothing wrong with not knowing, but to never have considered it in the first place, I think that's a terrible thing. Sometimes we get so caught up in things we forget whose thoughts are ours. Maybe we've been so distracted that we've taken up other people's thoughts. Not really thinking for ourselves, but taking whatever seems most convenient and best and easy at the moment. Or we've recoiled from the process of actively thinking because of what has happened to us. Because it became too painful to think. And there are people who have thoughts that they feel that they shouldn't be having. Thoughts that are wrong or dirty or violent or anything else like that. Things that normal people wouldn't think. I think it happens to all of us to some extent. I think a lot of the time we give weight to these thoughts. We think that they decide who we are as people. That because we're having these thoughts, they must be us. Because we think bad or because we think wrong, we are bad or we are wrong. But this isn't true. These are just mechanical responses that our brain creates. I think in Western society, the brain is way out of whack. We've become obsessive, neurotic, and compulsive, driven by what goes on in our heads, not what we actually decide to do, or what we decide to think. Something important to be aware of is that you can always watch the own process of thoughts evolving in your own head. If you take the time to carefully listen, you can see and feel the connections being made in your head, the neurons and synapses clicking together. You can begin to understand when what types of thoughts arise, how and why. I'm not entirely sure where I'm going with this. I guess what I'm trying to say is, you're not your thoughts, you're the thinker. If that makes any sense. I'll see you guys later.
I got mixed up, confusion, man, and it's a killing me. There's just too many people, and they're all too hard to please.